Hello and welcome back to Norrin Reads. In this episode I will be reviewing Silver Surfer number 8 from the 1987 series. This issue was written by Steve Englehart, penciled by Marshall Rogers, and inked by Joe Rubinstein. This issue was entitled Soul Sweet Soul, and it starts with the Silver Surfer in his Earth disguise with the shades and the fedora and the raincoat. He looks like something out of a 1950s TV series, like a dad from one of those shows, while Shalla-Bal is dressed in a Fantastic Four uniform. I wonder what's going on here. The Surfer asks Shala if she has seen his slippers and pipe. She says to look under the rat, and there's this rat sitting on this pile of random stuff. There's a Thor action figure in there, a flying saucer, all this random stuff. The Surfer even notes that we Earth people can be messy, so there's obviously a identity issue there with him thinking he's an Earth person. Shala is now dressed in the Zenlavian garb, using her power cosmic to create plants in the living room. He finds his little slippers and he steps into this gigantic pipe, breaks out a match, and fires up the slippers to smoke. Suddenly 3 Kree soldiers burst through the door and they attack the Surfer. They say, "I don't like the way you think." And while they're beating him up, Shala, now dressed in Mantis's outfit, points and says the same thing, "I don't like the way you think." While he's getting attacked, this little white rat who was sitting on the pile of junk attacks the Kree and distracts them long enough to where Surfer can escape off into the night. As he runs out the door, the Kree pull off his disguise. Meanwhile, Nenora is contacting the Skrulls to let them know that the Surfer's soul has been stolen and that the Supreme Intelligence has this soul gem. They're obviously interested in this gem, they want her to steal it, and she says she cannot do that. The Supreme Intelligence is not like a person, he's always awake, there's not an opportunity to do this. She has to leave because someone is coming and she can't be discovered. After they close communications, Aptak, the Skrull caught in the form of a Wazilian female, he laments the fact that Nenora didn't say anything to him, and it is revealed that they are lovers, and we see a little deeper into his pain. Nenora speaks to a Kree named Master Papton. He informs her that they are experimenting on the Surfer's board, but so far all of their experiments have been a failure. Meanwhile, the Surfer is in this strange desert scape with these plants trailing off into the distance and these random red rocks jutting out of the earth. He realizes he's naked and he's concerned what the neighbors will think. Suddenly, this silver dog appears and reminds Silver Surfer that he's in the middle of nowhere and there are really no neighbors to worry about. Surfer realizes that the dog is correct, and then he also realizes that the dog just spoke to him. He says, "You talked," and the dog responds, "You listened." The Surfer then asks the dog what happened to Shalla-Bal or Mantis, or he can't remember her name and he seems fairly confused. The dog indicates these plants on the ground, and they inform the Surfer that Mantis has been captured by the Elders. While this is happening, the Contemplator appears in this astral projected form. The dog tries to attack the Contemplator, but to no avail. Back in his body, the Contemplator informs the Supremor that the Silver Surfer's soul is actually running free inside of his mind. He has not assimilated it. In response to this, the Supremor uses all of the Kree minds within him to attack the Surfer, so this crowd of Kree soldiers attacks the Surfer, and he's rescued by these plants. He's reminded that he is not alone, that he is never alone. This is what the dog tells him as they save him. The Surfer is taken to higher ground where he has this vantage point, and he has this moment of realization that he knows who he is. He is the Silver Surfer, and he dives off of these rocks into this crowd of Kree soldiers and begins to fight them. While he's fighting them, he realizes that he no longer has the use of the power cosmic. As he realizes this, the dog jumps in to protect him from the Kree and reminds him that he is not alone, while the plants grow up to block the Kree from chasing the Surfer off into this desert, reminding him again that he is not alone. Meanwhile, on Zenn-La, Shalla-Bal is still contemplating the fact that she heard the plants speak, but she doesn't think that they can speak, even though they were created with her power cosmic. And she thinks about Mantis. She thinks of her as the woman that took Norrin from her, but she realizes that she actually drove Norrin away with her responsibilities. Shalla-Bal decides to contact Mantis, and she hopes that her plants can communicate with her, so she sends out this psychic message, Mantis. Surfer reaches the end of the plains and he nears a thick, dead forest. He realizes that he's in some sort of dream world and that the progress he makes within the dream world will get him closer to awakening. At the edge of this forest, he meets and speaks to a silver bird. The bird reminds him again that he is not alone. Suddenly, this dragon octopus arrives and threatens to steal the Surfer's soul. The bird welcomes the Surfer to ride on his back and the two soar off into the sky. While they're flying, the Surfer tries to use his power cosmic but realizes it has not returned. He reassures himself that he's come a long way without his power cosmic, and the bird again reminds him that he is not alone. The Surfer continues to fight this dragon octopus without the power cosmic, and during their battle, the Surfer realizes that this dragon octopus is the Supreme Intelligence. Meanwhile, the Kree scientists who are working on the Silver Surfer's board believe they're making progress, but the board begins to hover. They jump on it and they try to stop it. It throws them off, and it zooms out of the room and crashes through a wall. It bursts up through the floor of the Hall of Judgment and flies directly into the forehead of the Supreme Intelligence through the Soul Gem. As the board arrives into the dream world, the bird transmutes into the board, and Surfer summons it, saying, "To me, my bird." The Surfer's about to be devoured by this octopus dragon, but the board slices this dragon's tongue, releasing the Surfer. He again realizes he's not alone. He has his board, and he and his board are one. The Surfer jumps on his board and flies into the forehead of this dragon octopus. This takes him through the Soul Gem, and he bursts out of the forehead of the Supreme Intelligence, grabbing the Soul Gem as he comes out. The Surfer flies away from Kree lore with the Soul Gem in his possession. He says that no souls will be taken while he has it. And there's a great line here. He says, "There are many souls in the infinite, but there is only one, like the Silver Surfer's." Meanwhile, the Supremer's mind is falling apart after the loss of the Soul Gem. The pink and the blue Kree are battling each other inside of his mind. The Contemplator, he doesn't really seem worried about that. He's more worried about the fact that the Silver Surfer has the 6th Soul Gem, and him and the Elders can't complete their plan. Meanwhile, back on Zen-La, Shalla-Bal has fallen asleep, and something suddenly appears before her, waking her up. It's the Gardener. He says that her message has been answered. He says that Mantis is a weed that he plucked, and Shalla-Bal is another weed that needs to be plucked, something he's experienced with because he's been the Gardener for 5 billion years. And that's how it ends, with a to be continued. This is a really fun and interesting issue of Silver Surfer, something like Twilight Zone meets Joseph Campbell or something of the like. I enjoyed a lot of the details in this issue, specifically when the Surfer is in the Soul Gem and in that sort of dream world. The panels on the page are all distorted, giving that idea that something is wrong, something's amiss. Also, this is the first issue in this series where the pages haven't been numbered. That was obviously intentional, and it helped the story to feel even more disjointed. I enjoy the message that Surfer receives while he's in this dream world within the Soul Gem about not being alone, and him realizing who he is, and that kind of getting him through this ordeal. And I really appreciate the fact that he doesn't give up, and he figures out a way to wade through this strange place and realize that he's making progress, even though it would not be apparent to most. I enjoyed the animal friends who were sort of his animal guides through this soul world. The dog, the rat, and the bird. They were all helpful, and they all protected him in different ways. Interestingly, in the beginning, the Surfer kind of shooed the rat away, not really valuing it because it's a rat, but it was actually what protected him from the Kree and allowed him to escape. I think there's a lesson there about valuing different creatures because of their appearance and how that could be a mistake. It's interesting to see Aptak's character get developed a bit more, with the fact that Nenora is his lover and he's really troubled by the fact that he is stuck in this body and cannot be with her. I didn't expect them to continue to develop him, so I'm interested to see where that goes. Also, I guess my theory about the Elders having to confront the Supreme Intelligence is gone now because he no longer has the Soul Gem, so there's no need for them to conflict. He's obviously not functional now, so I'm wondering if that means the end of the Kree Skrull War because the Kree Empire is no longer a functional war machine. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, this is going to paint a bigger target on the Surfer's back now that he has directly interfered with their plans for the 3rd time, maybe more. But he has the Soul Gem and they need it for their plan to destroy Galactus, so they're obviously going to be coming for him. Now that the Gardener has access to Shalla-Bal, I'm assuming he's going to take her prisoner, and that's going to be leveraged to use against the Silver Surfer. So things are certainly heating up in the cosmic world. I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you out there on the Cosmic Spaceways.